Hello my friends, my name is Lindsay and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls, and welcome to or welcome back to the little corner of the internet where we talk mainly about Christian fiction. I gotta be careful with that little shoulder move. I have a cup of tea here and I thought we could just have a chill video today, just talking about a dilemma I'm facing. I discussed it a few weeks ago now, I think it was, over on Instagram when I posted this picture of all the books that I'd like to keep but I have really no room for on my bookshelves, and I was getting y'all's advice and trying to think through what could I do, kind of come up with an idea. And this also really came to play when I was filming the bookshelf tag video that I did recently, which was a really fun video to film. So this video is going to be pretty chill. I'm just here in my reading nook covered with fuzzy blankets and a cup of tea. I've done a few videos where it's just kind of like that FaceTime style, like as if we were just chatting. And I really enjoy filming those, and I've had really good feedback on those, so I hope y'all like this video as well. We'll get up and move around and discuss bookshelves and options. But for the first part, we're just going to hang out here in my reading nook, which is a lovely place to be, I'd like to say. Just lovely. It is covered in fuzzy blankets because Daisy often will come up here when I'm not sitting here. Or as soon as I will leave, she will come and steal my spot, so I keep fuzzy blankets on it to protect the chair, mainly from her hair, because she is tri-colored. No matter what color you wear, you will have Daisy's fur on you, and it's fine. It's just really hard to get the weave out of this chair. So, fuzzy blankets galore, Snoopy blankets, a Snoopy mug, pink pants. It's like it's my aesthetic or something. I love it. I kind of want to make a disclaimer, though, before we get started, that I don't want to come across as bragging or boasting, that's the same word, but I don't want to come across that way with this video, because I know this is definitely a first world problem, and that's something my mom and I go back and forth to each other, where we talk about something and we're like, that's a first world problem, and we remind ourselves of that often. So I don't want to come across as this woe is me in America that has access to all of these books, let alone access to books that have my faith background in them of Christianity. And so I want to be aware of that, and I don't want this to become a bragging video, because it's definitely not my intent to do that. This is just a problem that a lot of readers face, especially when you've been reading multiple years. And I would like everyone to keep in mind that when I show my bookshelves, this is from a collection of 13, 14 years in the making, especially my Christian fiction. Christian fiction rainbow shelves. Those are 13, 14 years old now of building it. So it's not like this was overnight. It's not that it was just a quick, easy thing to do. This was a lot of time and, yes, money, but I buy a lot of my books used, so it works out. But I want to be sensitive to that because, number one, it can be hard to find Christian fiction overseas. And I've heard from quite a few of y'all that have let me know that it is hard to find Christian fiction in European countries, let alone other countries. And so they appreciate it when the books are on ebook formats and that kind of thing. And also just the fact that I do read a lot of Christian fiction, and having books with my Christian faith in it is not allowed in other parts of the world. And so I want to be aware of that as I make this video, and just as a disclaimer that I don't mean to be bragging on my bookshelves. This is just an honest chat as if we were FaceTiming. So I hope that message comes across well. I think that's all I can really say. I want to be sensitive to that regard. So I hope y'all will understand and kind of take it in with that view and mindset. So obviously this isn't that big of a deal. My posture is going to be atrocious in this video. That's a big deal. But, so with that, let's get started with maybe the history of my bookshelves, because I want people to keep in mind that this has not been like how it's always been. It's been a process. I've discussed it a few times before on this channel, probably more than a few times, that I really want to be intentional with the books that I own, and not just like look at a bookshelf and just happy sign because it's books, but because it's books I really enjoy. And I've discussed this before, and that's something I really try hard to note. So like I do have a small stack of books that I enjoyed, but I didn't tremendously enjoy, so should I keep them? especially with space being tight, I don't know. And again, this isn't that big of a deal, but this I feel like is something that most book readers, bookworms, come across at some point where they have to double stack their bookshelves or get a new bookshelf at some point and squeeze it in somewhere because we read. We collect books. They're kind of separate hobbies some days, to be honest, but here we are. I think it'd be kind of fun though to start this video off with kind of a history of my bookshelves, if you will. I did a little presentation, so let me give y'all my presentation. So let's get comfortable and discuss the history of my bookshelves, because I made a little presentation and kind of just a how did this all come to be, because I think that'd be fun. And I had a lot of fun trying to find old pictures of my bookshelves, because I didn't get a phone until 2016. I was like 17, because we had a rule you have to pay for your own phone. So it was really hard to find pictures of my bookshelves prior to then. But if we're going to go down memory lane with my presentation, let's begin. So Books for Christian Girls originally started in 2013, but I discovered Christian fiction the year before, and prior to that time, I had shelves that went all the way around the top of my room that were for stuffed animals. And I had a loft bed at the time, so like it all worked out. Once I started reading more in 2012 and 13, and as BFCG started, we added more brackets because books are way heavier than stuffed animals. Who knew? So we had to add more brackets, and then I had books all lining my room, which the amount of those books I no longer own is very high. My bookshelves have really changed a lot since starting BFCG. When I did practice videos prior to starting this channel, when I started getting into BookTube, was about 2016, but I didn't really see any Christian fiction being discussed, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I started making practice videos, and I was terribly awkward. Those videos will never see the light of day, but I did ones, and then I officially started this channel at the beginning of 2017. So at that time, I had the one Billy bookshelf, and then a kind of half a shelf that we kind of had to jerry-rig with brackets and cut boards, because the actual shelf, the thin, skinny Billy shelf, couldn't fit there by half an inch. So we had to make it work. I had it organized by young adult on the main bookshelf, and then preteen middle grade books were on that half a shelf. And then in December of 2016, the dream happened where my bed was on bookshelves, and I have a video discussing this, so here's just some pictures. I will link it up in the cards. I do plan to do an updated room tour come 2024. That is definitely on my list to get done in that first half of the year. Hopefully, I say that. I hope, y'all. That's the goal, but time flies, so we'll see. In 2017, I added the height extension units to the Billy bookshelves, which gave me another shelf for each one. Very awkward to put on, and I do have a whole video on that, but I do recommend them if you have ceilings that can do that, because it really gives it that floor to ceiling experience, and I love that. So during all this time, my books were typically organized by genre, by author, by series, that kind of order. But then in 2018, I decided to do the rainbow bookshelves, which I have a whole video documenting that process, which was so much fun to do. Like, I was going to lose my mind, but it was so much fun. We moved in the middle of 2020 to this current house, and because of the room's layout, I had to downsize a shelf, which honestly wasn't that bad. But now I'm kind of missing it, and that's what we're going to be discussing. But it's worked for about 3 years. So now it is the end of 2023, and I gotta do something. I am running out of room, and I kind of see 3 options, if you will, for this dilemma, how to solve this problem. And I just want to discuss it with y'all, see what y'all think. I think y'all will give me really good pros and cons as well for these. I've listed out a few for each, but yeah, I kind of just want to discuss it with y'all. First things first, I keep saying the name of the bookshelves, but I'm going to say it again. All the bookshelves in my room, minus one, my Korean bookshelf, are all from IKEA. IKEA should have sponsored this room, because the amount of times I have showed people my bed bookshelves and get asked all the questions, especially at IKEA. I love going to IKEA for multiple reasons, because it's just a very fun place, and it kind of feels like a UN building in my city, because I can hear like 7 different languages when we go to IKEA, and it's the coolest thing. So that said, I love showing off my bed bookshelves because nobody's really done that before, because I made this, you know, like I did it myself, and it's a different concept for a lot of people, and it freaks out a lot of people, but y'all, it's kind of like a dorm bed, but instead of having a desk underneath, there's books and bookshelves, so it sounds even better to me. So all that to say, these are Billy bookshelves from IKEA. I have the tall ones, I've got the height extension units, I've got the skinny tall ones with the height extension units, and then I have like their short squatty body ones. I think they are 35 is the long one, 35 inches is the width of the longer one, 15 inches is the width of the shorter one. So one more note on those Billy bookshelves is that I do have extra shelves in all of my tall ones. So I think there's 1 or 2, I'd have to recount, but 1 or 2 extra shelves, and that really does give you more room, which I really like because I don't like a lot of height. Like, I don't want to see a lot of the backboard of a bookshelf, so I've got them quite tight, and it's worked, but I know that's not everyone's favorite. I also pull my books to the more towards the front of my bookshelves because of that reason, that they're tighter on the shelf, because if I push them back, there's a major shadow, and I don't like that. And I don't really do knickknacks or anything like that on my bookshelves. Like, I've got my vintage cameras, which we're going to be discussing, but I don't really do anything else. And now it's become a thing that apparently you should have your books away from the back of your bookshelf because of airflow. I've been seeing that around, that books can mold, which sounds horrifying. And living in a very humid climate, I was like, okay, that's not great to know. So I guess that's another positive of having them up front, but personally, I just do it because I like it, how it looks that way. So there you go. Let me go grab a tape measure and we are going to discuss our options. So option 1 for this is that I weed through my books. See if there's any I want to pass along, and there's probably a handful for sure. Here's my stack of books that don't fit. You can see it goes all the way up to almost my hip. That's crazy. So I can weed through these because, like, my Amish books, I don't really read Amish books anymore, so I could put those elsewhere. So like, I could potentially make room, and then I also could move middle grade books that are on this shelf up to another shelf. But I really love having my middle grade books represented in my videos by having them on the shelf because I review for ages 9 to 19. So I like having those down and like in the middle of this rainbow bookshelf. I love that. So I don't love this option, I'll be honest. So another thing though with my middle grade books is that even though I might not mention them often in my videos, I do reference them a lot, especially throughout the week as I answer messages and comments and all that kind of thing. I don't know what Daisy's barking at, but she's barking. And I do reference them often. So even if like I'm out and about and not at my bookshelves, I always have pictures of my bookshelves on my phone, and I will look at my bookshelf that way to make sure I am remembering all the ones that could potentially work for this person who has messaged me, typically a mom. And I really like having the middle grade books represented on my bookshelves in that way. So, I don't know, pro and con right there, really, that like having them separated could be potentially helpful for that, but it also removes the representation that I review for ages 9 to 19, and they wouldn't be represented on my bookshelf, and that makes me a little sad. So there's that con. So there's one con right there, that it removes the representation of middle grade, but it also makes it more difficult to see my middle grade books because they're going to be way up there and they'll barely be shown. And in all reality, it won't last long. It won't. Like, that will probably last me maybe a few months. Maybe. Give me that little extra room kind of thing. The only pro is it would last a few months. That I see to this dilemma would be moving all those up, weeding through other ones. I don't know. I don't love that option. So option number 2 would just be getting one more bookshelf like this and putting it here. Which, you know, that's not a bad thing, but the lanterns would have to move. I could honestly do those over my bed if I wanted. This is my bed bookshelf here. I could move those over my bed, and that's not a bad idea. The tree would have to move And okay, here's the weird thing though. So let's measure. Discuss it with me, my friend. So, was I right? Oh, 31. I was wrong. 31. But, okay, so there, oh, tree in the way. Here would be that. And we've got like this awkward, probably 15, 16 inches. We have an awkward 16 inches. So the tree could be in that corner. The chair would have to be moved up closer, which, okay, that is an option. So I'd have to move things around, and there would be an kind of awkward corner, which I don't love that idea personally, but so that's a con right there. Is it scooches my chair, it moves the lanterns, and it moves the tree. And also a thing I thought about is it makes the bookshelves uncensored. It makes them uncensored. So when you look at my room from a straight on view, these are perfectly in line. They're gorgeous, and I love that. And then we'd have another one with that weird little awkward niche that I could put the tree in. It makes it uncentered, and I feel like that would be kind of weird filming wise, because to be centered would be probably like right here to look, and I would be like, I don't know, it's a little off to me. Also, a random little side note is that there's a plug right here that I need access to, so I'd have to kind of cut a hole in the back or drill a hole in the back of the board of the bookshelf, which that's not a big deal. I've done that before. I don't love the idea, and another reason I can't scooch these down, because that could be a comment I could receive, and I thought that through I could, but the most accessed plug I use is on the other side of this bookshelf, so I have to have access to that one. I don't want it, because then I would be drilling 2 holes, and while it would make it centered, it would cause more work on the plug dilemma, and I'd rather not do that. Pros of that argument would be, by having one new bookshelf here, floor to ceiling with the height extension units, is it probably would last me at least a year. At least a year for room to grow and add. And then I would have room to add in maybe a few more of my cameras, because this is not all of my vintage cameras. I have a collection. So it would be fun to have a little bit more room for a little longer of a time. Another positive is that my book pages wall could stay. That could stay, because the next option, it cannot. So option 3 is a little more extreme, but it's a good option in my opinion, and I do like it. It's just, I don't know, would I really like it? Like, I think I would, but would I? And so that would be the option of doing corner bookshelves, which for IKEA, that literally just means one of these on each side, and then one of their tall skinny ones in the middle, which I have the tall skinny ones as my headboard for my bed. So it makes it that corner, it kind of angles. Now, cons: the chair, the tree, lanterns, the wall pages, and my little mini bookshelf here over by my chair would all have to move. I don't know really what to do. So okay, the lanterns above the bed. The book pages I'll come back to. The tree would have to move, and I have no idea where. I have no idea where that tree would move to, and I want to make sure I have that tree somewhere, because it was a very sweet surprise gift from dear friends, and I love it. It's just so much fun that they added little pink ribbons. It just makes it perfect. I don't know where to put that though. And I was thinking I could maybe move a few things elsewise around in my room, but I'm not really, like, I don't have a definite plan on where that could go, and I'd like to have a definite plan. This is the problem, mainly with this problem for me, is that my chair, I was going to pull it out, y'all, but I gardened yesterday and I am so sore, and this is very heavy. I could attempt. Let me attempt. Let me move my cup, though, and we will discuss it. So because of the depth of the shelves, which is about 11 inches, because how it sticks out, the chair would really come forward. Like, let's play with this. It would stick out about this much, which on camera doesn't feel that bad. Where's my phone? What did I do with my phone? Which on camera doesn't feel that bad, but in person, it's pretty, it looks really tight. And that's my fear. That's the word I'm looking for. My fear is that when you walk into my room, it's going to feel very tight. And I'll insert some pictures and videos for y'all. please ignore the mess all over the floor. But it would also give a really cool library-ish sensation that when you walk into my room, stare straight ahead, wha-bam, bookshelves. And I love that. And that's kind of what the page wall has been. And I love that. And I love my little mini bookshelf here. That was a newer addition, I think last year this time I bought it. And I love it. I think it's so cute. And I have no place for where that could go. I have no place for where that could go. And another question I know I'll get asked is if I move my chair up, what about access to under my bed? And that's not really that big of a deal because I can climb over this. Honestly, what goes under my bed is really just storage of different items and then books I'm no longer keeping I put under there until I go to a bookshelf or list them on Pango or whatever. So it's not really that big of a deal. Daisy does go under there when she's not feeling great. That's kind of her hiding spot, or when she's hiding from a bath. So she wouldn't be the happiest with that, but this can move over just a little bit and she would still have room to go in between, and I think that would be fine. That's not really a big deal on that because it can be worked around. But like, what would I do with my cute little bookshelf? Like, it's a mess right now, but I want y'all to see how cute it is. Ignore the weights that are in the corner. I always have the intent that I'm going to exercise while I watch YouTube or whatnot, and yeah, that doesn't happen. So that is an option. And another thing on this though, okay, so lanterns move over maybe above the bed. I think that would be kind of cool. But with the book pages, those would have to come down. But I have two options on that. If I did the corner bookshelf idea, so I've got two height extension units, right, on my very tall bookshelf. So they're massively tall. And I could do, because I don't feel like I really need those height extension units, but they give the room a taller feeling, which is really good because I never want it to feel cramped in here. If there's anything on my floor, typically I will clean it up pretty often because I don't like not having floor space. I don't like it feeling cluttered or tight. I don't want it to feel tight. That's a good word for it. So I could though do it where it does like we do the top two. Let me show y'all. This is easier to show y'all. So see how I have the height extension units? This is where the bookshelf stops, right here, okay? And then there's one extension, two extensions. So I could potentially, idea here for this corner bookshelf unit, is have this next one be tall with the two, and then for the skinnier bookshelf, have it just have one, so it kind of drops it down, and then just have this as the normal height about here, and it's got like that stone kind of effect, and I could keep part of the book page wall. I don't know how that would look. But see, I mention that because my headboard bookshelves, no, they are kind of a mess, so ignore it, has a stepstone effect, and I really like it. So I was like, oh, I could kind of do something like that again. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Another option on the book pages is to just do them all around the top of my room, like the entire way, which would kind of be fun, but I feel like it might look a little weird at the same time. Like that might just have to be a plain kind of thing to do. But I do really love my reading nook. You know, I really love my little reading nook, so it's a little, I don't know, like more space. Excellent idea. Always a good idea. But my reading nook, is that a good trade-off? And I'm really bad that I don't like changing things too much. Like my bed books, like I might change little things, like how I organize my stationery, but like the general layout of my room, it kind of has to be how it is. So I fix things by reorganizing books on my bed bookshelves or something. Like I do little things. So this is a really big change, and I don't know. I don't know, y'all. So I guess the cons for option number 3 would be that the things have to be moved quite a bit. And then including my chair, which, will that be awkward? I have to move my chair. Will that be awkward? I don't know. I feel like it might be a little tight. And I don't want it to feel like constricting when you walk in here. I want it to still have that open feel, which is really helpful because all my walls are white. My bookshelves are all white. So I want to kind of keep with that light, airy feeling. So I don't know. We'll see. And my mom made a really good point that a con for that kind of setup is, do I need that much bookshelves? Do I really need that much space? And I'd like to say, of course I do, but she's right in the sense of I am intentional with what I own. So it would take a while, and there would probably be a lot of empty spaces for quite a while, and I never want to get back to the point, because I used to be the way that I would just keep all the books because I loved how it would look. And I really don't want to do that, and I am a little afraid that would try to I don't want to say re-trigger because that's not the word I'm looking for, but it would cause me to think that way, or rethink maybe, to think the way of, oh, I have to keep all the books so I have full bookshelves. And that's not true. I don't need that. So I don't know, that is a good point. That's like, how long would it take me to fill those? Quite a few years. So, you know, that's a positive. It would potentially last me another 10 years. I mean, I would have a ton of space to grow, which that's nice. One positive that could also kind of be a negative is with the chair pulled out, I could potentially have a little footstool that I've always wanted. I haven't found one I liked yet, but I could potentially do that. And I would really love that, because when I read, I typically am either like curled up, or I have like my feet stretched out, reaching towards one of the bookshelves, kind of like resting on it. So I would love a footstool, or like a little ottoman kind of thing. So that's a positive in my opinion, but it also could be a negative that it's really going to stick out. And I feel like that might be awkward and like make the room feel smaller, and I want to avoid that if possible. So, I don't know, friends, I don't know. Because I mean, I don't have to do the staggering height units. I'm just trying to keep the book pages kind of up because I do really love it, and I feel like it's such kind of, not a photo op thing, but it kind of is, and just adds such a personality to my bookshelves. And just my room in general, I really love that aspect. So I don't know. And okay, here's another thing on the book page as well. I've been meaning to mention this and I haven't. That yes, I do have a video filmed of me talking about how I did it and all that kind of thing. But my voiceover I don't like, so I'd like to redo it. But my problem is with the book pages video is I have like footage as I was doing it. And that was actually a day that my sister was over. It was our mom's birthday. And so she came over, and that was back in 2020. Because that's what, yeah, it was when we moved in here. And is that right? Was it 20? I think it was 2020. It wasn't 21. I don't think it was 21. I think it was 2020. I think it was like a few months after we moved in here. And in editing, I hear her voice, and that's hard. As many of y'all know, she passed away in January of 23. Oh, I wasn't going to get emotional. It's just hard to say the words that she passed away. So, like, y'all don't hear that, but I do in editing it. And yes, I could instantly remove all the audio, and it doesn't harm the official footage. But it's hard because I know it's there. You know? So, yeah, that video's kind of on hold, y'all. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to cry in this video. And I didn't want to make this video sad, but like that's kind of like a why has that video been delayed and never been posted? That's why. That's why. I should have just gone ahead and gotten it done last year. And I should have done that, and then it would have been up and posted and it would have been fine. But this year, it's too hard. It's too hard to hear her voice. So yeah, that said, that's why that video's been delayed. I would like to share it because I did learn different tips and tricks on how I did it. It's not really a tutorial, but it's how I did it and different tips and tricks. And I've learned little things as it's been up longer that's like, oh, I should have done this. So I would like to share that, but I don't know when that will be posted, because I'd like to refilm the voiceover, and then just editing it is difficult. So don't know when that's going to be posted. So like I'd like to keep it up at least until that video was posted and live, but I don't know. I really do love the book pages, but I do gotta admit I love the idea of just being a corner full of books. But there's negatives because my chair would move out. I don't know what I would do with my little table. My little bookshelf, I love that little bookshelf so much, I really have no other place to put it. I don't know where I would put it. And it would have to move. And I did measure, I'm not measuring on here, but there basically would be just enough room for the corner unit, which is basically like one big bookshelf, corner, little bookshelf. And I think there'd be a little bit of room. So I'm not quite sure how that would pan out. We actually have an extra one of these Billy bookshelves in our kind of guest bedroom, craft room. And I keep thinking, and there's stuff on it, like other books that we use for decor and like craft stuff, you know, that kind of thing. And I keep telling my mom, I'm like, I really want to just take everything off of there and just drag it into my room and see how it looks. And she just looks at me like I'm crazy and going, you don't want to do that. Which, I mean, I kind of do, but I do see what she means on the sense of, it's like, are you kidding, Lindsay? No, just envision it. I get it. So, yeah, pros and cons to all of the options, y'all. Really, pros and cons to all the options. Thanks for letting me discuss and think things through. I don't think I'm any closer. I don't think I'm any closer to the answer. And this will definitely be a 2024 project. I'm not going to get it done by the end of this year. But it's something I think would be a good thing to do another bookshelf, because obviously I'm running out of room. And one thing I do get told is remove the cameras or the raw edged books. And I totally could. But y'all, that doesn't buy me much time. Like, you know, the books I currently have stacked, if I was going to remove all the cameras and the raw facing books, I could fit all of those books and probably not even 10 more. So it does, like, it fixes the problem for now. What about in like another 3-4 months? The problem has started again. It's continued kind of thing. And I love having that little bit of personality, because prior to really being a big reader, I've always been into photography. That was something I did all throughout high school, and prior to Books for Christian Girls, I've always done photography. So I love having that represented on my bookshelves. I still do it, just not very often. If like I have past clients that reach out, I will do their family sessions or graduations or whatever they need me to do on that regard. I don't do weddings though. Props to all you wedding photographers. No. The stress of that would do me in. I could not. But I love having that represented on my bookshelves. And also just the fact that these are historical cameras. Like this one's about the time of World War II. And then that one's like 1913. That's in the 50s. I think this one was also in the 50s. That's the 80s. The little one, I don't remember when you were from. I have all my notes on my phone. But I love having that little nod to history. And like if these cameras could talk or share what they've seen pictures of, what they've taken pictures of, I guess would be the proper words, it would be really interesting. I would be much more curious on the World War II ones, because I feel like, who knows, they could have been overseas with a journalist during all the fighting and everything. Like, we don't know. They're in really good shape though, so probably not. But it makes me curious and wonder and want to read more about that time period. And that's the ambiance to have about wanting to read more. And another kind of positive thing on that third option would be, I love when people work in houseplants with their bookshelves. And yeah, I have so many houseplants, that's not funny. I have less. I lost a lot of this year with grief. I didn't take care of my plants. So honestly, the ones I have are the ones that have made it through it all, and I'm very thankful for them, and I'd like to have them like a little more of a showcase, if you will. Because here's the thing, this side of my room, okay, you see this one, but like literally it's all, this side of the room is all the plants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, yeah, over 20, 25 plants on this side of my room and none on this side. And I love seeing some of my different booktuber friends and just pictures online of when they work in their plants on their bookshelves. I love that. So that is a positive, that I could potentially have enough room to work in plants into my bookshelves, and I think that would be really cool. But again, moving things around, I don't do well with changing things. I really don't. And I think honestly my biggest drawback for the corner bookshelf unit would be my little mini bookshelf. What would I do with that? Where would it go? I don't know. And see, I love it because I have my little love-inspired books, which those could go on the corner bookshelves because how I have, can y'all see? Okay, so y'all can see the Mandy books here. This is a really small shelf because I have an extra shelf in here to fit actual books, because the middle one, as you probably know with bookshelves, there has to be one that is like unmovable. All the rest you can move, but the middle one you cannot. So to get that extra space and not have that awkward height, I had to kind of have that kind of shorter section, which is where those Mandy books are. So I could potentially put the love inspired books on that, and that's totally fine. But I also have like my superhero books, my spy books that are kind of more to the clean fiction side, and I love having those together. They make me so happy to have them together. And then I've got, let's see, Alison Tebow's fairy tale series I have down there because they're shorter books, and I love having those together. Yes, potentially those could go like this on the corner unit. It could do that. It totally could do that. But I love this little bit of display. Because like I've got my Mima's Kindle on there. I've got a little fake flower vase. I have my book light, little reading tabs. That's typically where I put my drink. If I have like my water bottle or a cup of tea while I'm reading. Because another thing to note is I don't just use this chair for reading. I do a lot of my video work and editing in that chair. I have a blanket that I put on my lap that protects from harmful things that the laptop does to you. And I use that, and it works great, I guess. And then I've got like a diffuser that is purely just for show. I don't use that diffuser anywhere near my book pages wall. I feel like people have probably wondered about that, but I've never been asked. So just to clarify, that's just for show, that diffuser. So I don't know, my friends. I don't know. So there we go, my friends. Those are my 3 options that I see for my bookshelves. And I'd be really curious what y'all think. I know this was kind of like an all over the place video. Hopefully I can edit it where it feels coherent and nice and y'all understand what I'm saying and meaning. But I'd love to discuss this in the comments. Like, what do y'all think? Are there other pros and cons I missed? Let me know. Just let's talk about it. Give me your feedback as if we were on a video call. Again though, I hope this video doesn't come across as bragging, because that's definitely not my intent, and I hope no one feels that way. This is me discussing and trying to work out the problem, I guess you could say. And I've done a few videos like this, like when I organized my rainbow bookshelves and like added new books in. That was a really fun video to do and just discuss it with y'all. And while it's not necessarily real-time discussion, I can tell when someone comments and like what part they're watching typically and what they're referring to. So it feels that way to me. Even though it might not technically be, it feels that way. So I really do appreciate y'all commenting and y'all's input and opinions on different things, because I do take them for account, because everyone has a different perspective and how they view things. And I really appreciate that with this community. So feel free to let me know your thoughts. I'd love to discuss it. We're just gonna keep clicking along, going along, clicking along, clicking along. The phrase is clicking along. We'll just keep clicking along for a little bit longer and piling my stack of books here by my feet. But we'll come up with something, whether it be option 1, 2, or 3. I love the idea of option 3. But I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's very different than my normal style video, but I had a lot of fun just discussing all these bookshelves with y'all and giving y'all another peek into my room from a different angle. Because, I mean, if you've seen my room tour video, then you kind of understand the concept, or the bookshelf tag video I did. I shared kind of a look around of the whole room, and that I think gives y'all a really good visual. But it's really fun I really like it personally when like I see my fellow booktubers and they film from a slightly different angle, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm seeing another side of the room, which sounds like I'm a nosy Nelly, which, you know, maybe I am, but I like that. I think it's fun. It gives it more than it's not just a backdrop. There's more around. And in my case, there's a lot of plants and books around, so I think that's all I'm going to ramble about for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. There is a lot of things to consider and move around, but I do think it would be a fun option to change something, but at the same time, I'm scared. What if I don't like it? But I just have to get used to it, and typically I'm fine. So it's not like that big of a deal, but I don't know. I don't know, y'all. But I will see y'all next time. I hope you have an absolutely lovely rest of your day. Feel free to let me know y'all's thoughts and comments, other pros and cons to these ideas in the comments, messages, or however you want to send them to me. That is totally okay with me. And I will see y'all next time. I am Lindsay from the blog booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where there's a new review every Monday and Friday. I try to post a new video on this channel every Friday. I've been trying pretty good at that, but if not, every other Friday. I am also on Instagram and TikTok and Goodreads and all those many social media sites. I have a newsletter for Books for Christian Girls where you can receive all the info on what's going on with BFCG, and I will link that sign-up form in the description, and I will see y'all next time. I hope y'all have an absolutely lovely rest of your day. Bye!